Have you ever worked really hard on a moon animator animation that looks great on the rig you animated it on, but when you finally decide that it's time to export and re-import it into your game, it ends up looking a little something like this? Yeah, it looks literally nothing like what you wanted the animation to look like. Well, if this is you and you don't want to have to reanimate every single keyframe, then I have the solution for you. This isn't actually an export bug, but rather an issue with your rig itself. If you're experiencing this issue, chances are that if you close out Moon Animator right now, your rig's pose is going to look like one of the keyframes from your animation instead of flat and straight like a default pose. And this is the reason why you have this monstrosity. Because your rig's default positioning isn't how Roblox normally interprets animations, the keyframes in your animation are offset to match the poses you made to the rig's non-animated position, thus causing animated poses that aren't 100% accurate to your intended animated positions. This is usually caused when you close out Studio without closing out Moon Animator first. If you close out Studio before closing out Animator, Studio actually freezes the rig's pose on whatever pose Moon Animator was last open to, while keeping your actual animation intact, which is why your animation seems to be perfectly fine on the rig you animated it on, but not on any other rig. So now you can see why trying to export your animation into a default rig won't work. It's because the starting position of your original rig and the starting position of the default one are entirely different. To fix this, all you actually have to do is purposely break your animation again. Because the rig's pose was frozen on the last position that Moon Animator was open on while keeping your animation intact, you can actually use this bug to fix your rig's default pose so that your animation will actually work in-game and match the pose that you animated it to look like. So to fix this, first you need to open up a fresh new animation with a brand new rig to basically get the default pose keyframes to fix your original rig. You can get these keyframes by moving all the parts of your default or new rig up and down by the same amount. That way, Moon Animator will record the keyframes of the default position so that you can actually select the frames and copy and paste them later. If you're using your own custom rig, you can still do the same exact things with a default version of your original rig. After Moon Animator shows that you have the keyframes for the default positions of your rig, what you want to do is select all the keyframes and copy them. Now that you have the default position copied, you can exit Moon Animator in this rig and return to Moon Animator in your original rig. You want to open your animation and then add an extra frame at the end of it, like so. Once you've done that, you can move your slider to the very end of your animation and just paste the keyframes of the default pose into the end of your animation. Make sure that the pose that the keyframe is displaying is the default pose and you'll be good for the next step. Ironically, the next step is literally just to close out Studio with Moon Animator open. As said before, this will freeze your rig's current pose and change that pose into the default one so that your animation can look like it's supposed to. Now, if you reopen Studio, you'll see that your rig's pose is no longer a keyframe from your animation, and if you reopen the animation in Moon Animator, you'll see that it looks perfectly fine and how you want it to be. Now you can re-export your animation, and if you try to import it again, it should match what you animated it to be. So the overall moral of the story, do not close out Studio while Moon Animator is still open. Anyways, hopefully this helped. If you have any questions or need additional help, feel free to let me know by commenting down below.